call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tellink. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello,
Hello?
Silas.
Hey, what's going on, James?
Hey, how are you doing tonight?
What's going on? I'm all right. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. So we're definitely live right now. I just pulled the trigger, and hopefully I set everything back up the way I had it. If the volume's too low, just go ahead and let me know, and I'll go ahead and adjust the volume and whatnot.
No, the volume's good. The volume's good.
All right, cool, perfect. We'll see if the audience, if anybody tunes in, and they, because it might sound a little bit different from the way you hear me to anybody that's listening to on YouTube. It might be a little bit lower. So if it is, just go ahead and let me know, and I'll go ahead and tune it up a bit. I was messing around with the settings and whatnot, and I didn't put them back exactly like the way I normally have them. So if that's the case, just go ahead and drop a comment, and I'll try to adjust it on the fly. So, thank you for giving me a call today. How's everything been at where you're at right now?
It's been pretty cool, man. It's been pretty mellow, actually. Um, this is this yard is pretty uneventful, which is a good thing. Something I'm just now beginning to get used to. When the alarm goes off, it's usually for sea yarding as opposed to this yard. So I mean, it's pretty it's taking some getting used to the inactivity. But like I said, it's a good thing. Things are pretty calm here. School is going good. I mean, IVC, Imperial Valley College, and San Diego State are running, and which is pretty cool. Actually, we just got some news today that the president of San Diego State is going to be coming down November 6th, as well as the Secretary of Education, the Superintendent of Education for CDCR, and just a whole bunch of big wigs. So that's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, they'll be coming down and checking out our cohort and speaking to us. And actually, myself and another student in my class were actually chosen to speak to them when they come in. So pretty excited about that.
Um,
But,
for
yeah.
for this yard, is this the first yard you landed on? Once you got there, or have you been to other yards? And if you have, how do they compare to where you're at right now?
No, when I came down here, I came here from Kern Valley in 2017 in October, and I landed on Sea Yard, and probably 6 weeks into my being on the yard, I got into a fight and got caught up. I got caught with a knife and went to the hole. I got kicked out of the hole in January 2018. And I was on B yard probably for 2 years and a couple of months over there. And it was a pretty good experience over there. I mean, it was general population, and I was still affiliated with the gang culture. So, I mean, there was that. But for the most part, I had kind of, taken a back seat on all of that and started my college at IVC and Imperial Valley College, and attended different self-help groups, and I started attending the Alternative Violence Project, which was really cool. And being over there, all of those variables kind of got me to thinking. It kind of got me in the contemplation stage of stepping away from all of the gangland stuff, and there was violence on the yard, but there was room for you to grow and to kind of do your own thing. And I'd reached a juncture in my little career, as we like to say, as a gang member, to where I put in a little bit of work. So nobody was asking me to raise my hand or do anything. So I had the liberty to just kind of freelance and go to school and do just kind of just do my own thing. So it was a pretty positive environment. Going back to see, I was there until COVID hit, until April 2020, and going back to CR, CR was different. Um, I'd been there. I was over there on the yard with a few dudes that I'd done time with like 20 years ago in Salinas Valley, and you know, I changed a lot and evolved, and in a lot of ways, they were still the same people, and so, and being in the same gangland unit, it was kind of, it was kind of difficult to navigate, people's perception of me and who I used to be, as opposed to who I was evolving into. So there was some conflict there, and I began to just more and more, the more I got into my education and just did introspection, I just evolved into the type of person that just didn't see myself as a gang member anymore. I saw myself as way more than that, and so I kind of outgrew the whole convention of gangland culture and the group thinking, and I made the decision to step away from that. And in truth, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And leaving all of that over here to DR has been, it's been just enlightening. I've been able to just focus on myself, my relationship with my fiance, rebuilding my relationship with my daughter, and just get all of the white noise out, out of the background, and focus on, my goals and my dreams and ambitions. So yeah, I've been on three different yards here. In B yard, I will say B yard,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
it was the yard was a mixed bag because of, obviously there were, politics going on, but as far as my ability to navigate it and get the things that I need to get as far as my education and rehabilitation, it was a positive experience for me.
Well, first of all, I want to go ahead and commend you, for taking those steps to change your life around and be proactive in your education. I know a lot of people, end up in these places and tend to not do anything positive with their lives. Continue with the same cycle. In politic, gang violence, and pretty much just a bunch of nonsense. W- It,
Yeah,
for
it's,
go,
I,
go ahead.
I, no, I just I wanted to say like, it's kind of it's kind of weird because on one hand, like I was, I was one of these individuals for so long, and I boxed myself in to thinking, you know, to thinking a certain way for so long that I can identify with the state of arrested development, and I think I'm a different kind of story from a lot of the individuals over here because I don't harbor any ill will to any of those cats that are over there doing their thing. I didn't I didn't come over here because I was running from something. I came over here because I'm running to something. And that said, I still have, people over there who I respect and I got a lot of love for, and it's just that our paths diverged, and I'm doing what's best for myself and what's best for my partner and what's best for my family, and that is obtaining my education and furthering my career as an artist, as a writer, and obtaining my not only my mental and spiritual and social and political freedom, but my physical freedom. So I mean, it's it's kind of it's the kind of thing to where I wish that
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I wish that everybody, my wish is for everybody to to wake up and to find find who they really are outside of that whole convention.
And let me ask you something. When you decided to walk away, did you consult with anybody, like with any friends, families, or family members, or anybody, or you just it was just a thought like, hey, I'm gonna, I wanna turn over a new leaf, try something new, and go down a different path. How did that? Where did that thought come from, or how did you and how did you end up making the decision?
Well, at the time, I was working in PIA as a single needle sewing machine operator. We were making the boxers, the chonies.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I mean, at that point, I was on the fringes of everything, like as far as like the whole gang thing, you know, I was still in good standing or whatever, but I for the most part, I was doing correspondence classes through college because of COVID. So I would go to PIA and I'd be there from 6 in the morning to like 2:30 in the afternoon. I'd come back and I'd walk on the yard. I'd see the same old thing, and I'd go in the building, get my shower, and I'd be done for the day. I'd do my homework. So I was kind of living a separate existence, for a while. I still associated and I still, obviously I still knew intelligence, who was going to get what and what was happening and all of that stupid stuff. But for the most part, I was, I was staying to myself. And there were just I don't think there was just like one flashpoint. Like everything over the years, all of the experiences that I've had, it was just like you slowly waking up. You ever wake up and like like you wake up sometimes and you just snap instantly awake. Like it wasn't like that. It was like that slow when you wake up, but you can hear like the auditory is going, and you can hear things going on, and you're still rolling over. Your eyes are closed, and you still half sleep, and then you're like, okay, all right, I'm up. I know I'm waking up, and then you open your eyes, but you like close your eyes back because you don't, it was a slow process. It was a slow awakening. But um, I could say one of the last like pieces of the puzzle. I had come back from PIA, and I walked up, and what my homies, my so-called homies, I walked up to the table, and they were all talking, and it was probably 6 or 7 people right there. So they're going back and forth, and they're talking about who got shot, who has what money out there, and what homegirl did this, and who said what, and called the streets, and so they're doing that whole thing. And I didn't speak. I walked up and they greeted me. And I just stood there. And I didn't for the first time in a long time. I didn't interject. I just listened. And I listened to everything that they were talking about. And it just hit me all at once. These aren't my people anymore. And it was a powerful thought. I just knew that I wasn't one of them anymore because I had outgrown all of this that they were talking about, and I wasn't interested anymore. I was interested in the concepts that I was learning in school. I was interested in at this time I was
You have 60 seconds remaining.
at this time my fiance and I were working with my publication director with getting my book published, and like I was just thinking so far beyond the scope of this institution and all of the chaos that I lived in. I'm looking out on the horizon now. I'm dreaming bigger than what I had done, And I just realized that, that I wasn't one of them anymore. But even then, I didn't contemplate leaving that situation. I just sat with that for a while. And yeah, I just sat in contemplation with that, not really knowing what to do with that information, because leaving was just not in the cards in my mind. That was just something that just wasn't a possibility, so yeah.
All right. So the call was just automatically cut off. We hit that 15-minute mark. He should be calling us back shortly, and we'll go ahead and continue with the conversation. And for those of you that are thinking about asking questions, feel free to go ahead and drop some comments and some questions. And if you don't feel comfortable, asking here in public, you can also, reach out to these gentlemen through the GTL Getting Out app.
This call is now being recorded. This is Global Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Link.
All right, Silas, I appreciate you returning the call, and the mic's all yours.
All right. Yeah, like I was saying, I just sat with that and contemplated it for a little while. I mean, I talked to my fiance at length about, about my disillusion and my desire to step away from that lifestyle. And she was really supportive, and I mean, she helped me through one of the one of the toughest periods of my life, because although I was gaining a sense of self and self-esteem that lied beyond, the my gang identity, like, at the same time, like, I was afraid to leave, because I mean, I'd been doing that since I was 15. So I I thought, if I'm not this person, this persona that I've cultivated with these people, then who the hell am I? Because I had never taken the time to invest in Silas. Silas had become, the moniker. You know, it was my gang identity that was at the forefront, and that shield, that sword, that mask that I walked around with. I had played a role for so long that I became that individual, and so it was kind of like, I mean, and so on one hand, while I was evolving, as far as academically and mentally and spiritually, there was a becoming on one side. There was also the dichotomy of an unbecoming of everything that I was. And so it was hard to strip that down, to detonate everything and rebuild, So it was difficult to navigate those emotions. I mean, when I left and decided that I didn't want to be a gang member anymore, I felt like in the military they called it a deserter. I felt, even though academically I know that an endless war is being fought, and there's no agenda, there's no mission statement, there's no righteousness involved in whatever so-called cause that's being espoused. But that said, being a gang member provided me it filled an emotional need, an emotional void that I had, and it gave me a sense of power. It gave me a sense of belonging. It gave me a sense of self. Although it was false. So disassociating from that and walking away from that and being on my own for good was a scary prospect. And I didn't plan to leave the day I did. It was just a snap decision. You know, um, I just decided. I woke up. I went to medical um, in the morning before I was supposed to go to work, and I got my medication, and I left and turned right back around and went back up there and just told them, yeah, I like to leave here.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And I mean, like the CEO's like actually knew me, so he told me, yeah, quit bullshitting, Johnson. We got to run PIA. like, yeah. So I mean, but it coming over here was a huge adjustment, a huge adjustment. But ultimately the decision was it was simple. Do I do I stay committed to this endless chaos and be a professional gang member and never obtain my freedom, never restore the bonds with my family, and eventually my relationship with my fiance would have dissolved because, as always, as a gang member, you're forced to make decisions and put the gang first. And I've always done that. I've always been someone to do that in my past relationships. Hey, if I gotta go to the hole, if I gotta go put in work and go to the hole, hey, I'll write you. And if you don't write back, hey, you know, that's what it is. Another one bites the dust. So I've always chosen the life over, even over my own daughter. When I was in society, I mean, I used to lie to myself and tell myself, well, I just did what I did. That doesn't mean that I chose being, my gang over my daughter, but I did, with my actions. It's not about what you say; it's about what you do. And I committed murder and caused myself to be incarcerated for it, and thereby taking myself away from my daughter's life, for all of her life. And so I chose gangland culture and being a gang member over being a killer, a gangster, over my daughter. So it just came down to, was I going to keep doing that? And and I kept throwing good money after bad, predicated on the promise that I made these dudes when I was 15 years old. And like I said before, and I'll say it a million times, as a sentient being, if something isn't working for you, you don't have to stay committed to it, out of loyalty. You have the right to change your mind. And being a gang member, it wasn't positive. It wasn't making, it wasn't, I wasn't experiencing any lucrative wealth as a result of being a gang member. And most importantly, I wasn't happy with who I was, and I wasn't happy with what I was doing as a human being. And so for me, that made the decision like a no-brainer, and and disassociating and reclaiming my humanity and reclaiming my identity as a person, my name, my government name, Silas. That is it's been well worth it.
Sorry about the long pause right there. I had my microphone on mute, and I was trying to find the button to unmute it. But yeah, I want to go ahead and commend you on that. Because obviously, I mean, you're obviously in a better place as far as you're closer to obtaining your freedom, your education, um, you're going to school and whatnot, and it takes a lot, because not anybody's gonna take those steps to get where you're at right now, and you're closer than ever. You're practically you have one foot out the door. So I want to go ahead and commend you, and hopefully you inspire some people to not even go down that path, so they don't even have to make that decision to uh to walk away. If you never start, then you don't have to make a decision. You don't have to walk away from anything. You could just continue on the right path, and and everything should be good for you, right?
Exactly, exactly. And that's not to say that that you're not going to experience struggles I mean, we all come. I mean, we come from the same place, you know. We all come from impoverished communities, you know. We all come from, you know, from places where crime is you know, is abundant, and you know, you have all of the excuses in hand, close at hand, to make a bad decision, you know, and do the wrong thing. You know, but I look at all of the people, you know, particularly in, you know, from my community, from the San Fernando Valley, that had opportunities to do the same thing I did, but they instead, you know, they became entertainers, they became rappers, they became,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
you know, they became athletes, they became, hell, they became sheriffs, they became, you know, they've done, you know, everything contrary to what was in our environment. You know, they made a decision to make their lives better, and they used their environment as inspiration and motivation, as something that they didn't want for themselves. And unfortunately, I didn't do that thing. But I mean, I'm here to implore people to use your environment. You know, if look at everything that you don't like to see in your environment, and use that as motivation to change yourself and to mold yourself into somebody that, you know, that's going to transcend that environment.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And right now, I think things are worse than ever right now. You know, I look back at how things were, you know, when I was growing up, and I look at them what's going on right now, and it just seems like it's a lot worse. Or maybe it's because, you know, now we have information at the tip of our fingers. Now we could just open up our phone and we could see stuff happening all over the place. You know, we don't
I'll
necessarily go ahead.
I'll hit you with some stats that would probably amaze you. I don't have it right in front of me. I just got it today in my journalism media studies class. Well, I'll just paraphrase. Um, our professor showed us a graph, and crime. Think of, okay, if we're looking at a graph, and think of a roller coaster when it goes all the way to the top, right before it shoots down. Okay, right at that tippy top. That's what crime was in 1992 and 1993. Just like a railroad, just like a roller coaster track. Crime from 93 until 2002 shoots straight down. And there's a spike somewhere in 2017ish, 2016ish. There's this little spike 2013, 2017ish, but I'm not talking about like nowhere near the top of that roller coaster. I'm talking about like a little dip at the bottom of where crime is gone, and now it's going back down. So crime actually has been decreasing steadily, and probably has been the lowest in probably 50 to 80 years in like '05, '03 to '05. So the fact that politicians are out espousing that crime is at an all-time high, the media is showing you these images. First of all, the media is going to show you violence and tragedy and floods and fires, and because it sells, just because we as humans have a morbid curiosity, and that's the shit that sells. But the actual statistics of crime, it would astound you to see. Um, I'm gonna try and get that graph and send it to you. But yeah, so I think it's just that we're just the media is ambient now. And what I mean is that it's never ending. You have 24-hour news cycles now, and you have it in your phone, you have it in the palm of your hand, these instant alerts. So when you're inundated with all of these images, it would make you it would make you feel like the world is burning down. And I mean, make no mistake, it is. But It's burning. It's a slow burn. It's not a raging fire. We're more like at a broil. But yeah, so I think it's just the fact that we're inundated with so much news about tragedy and that we have access to it. I mean, you can turn on Facebook and just scroll down and see a shooting somewhere or see, it's just, there's just so many ways that you can get this information. And the providers, the media, they know that it's for sales, so they inundate you with these images. When in fact, the truth is the contrary. Crime is significantly down since it's.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
And you mentioned your professor. Did he mention why was it that it went so high and then it just went off a cliff?
He didn't mention it. Well, we all kicked around hypothesis. Obviously the three strikes law. The way that they started charging carjacking back then. I don't know if you remember that in the '90s. The injunctions, and I think all of those variables, kind of they took a lot of people off of the streets. They took a lot of people out of society. But I think the scope is larger than just removing criminals from society when we talk about.
All right, his 15 minutes were up. He should be calling us back shortly. And for the people that are tapping in, and that would be definitely a shout out to Mad Max 408. He's always showing support. He's in here on most of the streams when they do go live. So I'm definitely notice. And also M Star Media. You guys are always in here. And who else is always in here? El Iceman and Aquatic Amigo. Definitely always showing support. And I really appreciate that because you guys are the ones that are gonna help to get this channel to that next level.
This is Global Tellink.
This call is now being recorded.
You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello, Silas.
All right. Yeah. All right. I'm back.
All right, thank you for calling me back. And right now, when your call was disconnected, my wife actually came over here and informed me that it seems like the audio is off. Like I was telling you earlier on, I was messing with with my computer, and I should have taken some screenshots of these settings before before I started messing with them. So yeah, she said that the audio is a little bit off, a little bit off. So I'm probably gonna spend all night, trying to fix them back and try to get them back to the way I originally had them. But I'll go ahead and apologize in advance if you guys are experiencing some crappy audio. But I'll go ahead and try to get that fixed as soon as possible.
Okay.
All right, and then so we were talking about, or had asked you about your professor, your college professor, and your phone call got cut off.
Oh, yeah. So like I said, we kicked around a few theories about the reason for crime going down. Um, but now that my callback, I was kind of thinking that the interesting thing that none of us ever proposed is that maybe things just got better. That was the one possibility that nobody looked at. And I mean, when you talk about theory or hypothesis, usually the simplest answer is the truth. And I just thought it was just calling right now. I just thought it was really interesting that none of us proposed that maybe things crime went down because you know humanity just got better for a little while.
Absolutely, yeah.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I was over here thinking things were a lot worse than what they are, but I thought, I mean, I remember the '90s and the '90s were really active. I just figured that right
Yeah.
now, I'm a little bit older now, so I'm not in the streets. So I was in, I'm not experiencing what I was experiencing out in the '90s. But like you did mention about the news and whatnot, they are always focusing on what's whatever they want to push out, what tends to be a lot of crimes and whatnot. So you're right about that. Yeah, I was definitely they got me, because I'm thinking things are worse than ever. I thought the world was ending.
Well, it is. I mean, every living, the earth is a living, breathing thing, and everything eventually passes out of existence. But I think we got a little bit longer run than everybody is. Everybody's making it seem.
Well, that's definitely good news there.
Yeah, you can tell Chicken Little the sky ain't falling yet.
Man, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have a good. I'm gonna be sleeping good tonight.
Yeah, the '90s were a crazy time. Looking at that chart, seeing '92 and '93. I mean, obviously we had a historic event with the LA riots, and I mean, being a teenager during that time was just insane. I mean, and I even remember we had like shortly after that we had a riot at Magic Mountain. I went to Magic Mountain and like the whole park went insane. And there we had like a huge riot in Magic Mountain. I don't think that's ever been done before or ever since. Like the whole park, like that, and that you can actually Google that. Yeah, like so. I mean, there was just a whole bunch of crazy things, and there were a whole bunch of cultural events that were happening during that time. I grew up, a few blocks from where Rodney King was almost beat to death, in Lakeview Terrace, right down the street from Pacoima. And I mean, it's just there were just transformative moments that were flashpoints in the city throughout California, period, but particularly the Los Angeles area. That just changed things forever. So yeah, those were crazy times. And I wasn't surprised to see that '92 or '93 was the peak of crime.
And right now, I just looked over my phone and I noticed that Derek Lamar put a message on here. He said, "90s was more dangerous."
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's my big brother right there. What's up, bro? Yeah, the '90s were insane. I mean, like every party, every just catching the bus to school. Like, my brother and I went to camp with him. Like walking, we ditched school and like I ran off and mugged somebody and went to camp for that at the end of '93 in December. And just like it, just night the '90s were just insane. From every to a liquor store to a house party to a school, like even going to your school, like being on campus, like people were coming up to your school to like fight and shoot and like I mean, it's no wonder that a lot of the kids who were, teens during the '90s, my in Generation X, ended up in places like this because you know, LA was LA was a jungle, and the law, the law of the jungle was, was necessary and was lived by, and it, yeah, the '90s were way different than now. Like we came up under really, really, really hardcore gang members and criminals, and we looked at their example and we tried to outdo them, you know, and we just made things just just 10 times worse, and in a lot of ways, like I look at the youngsters now, and like I have a real disconnect with this generation now, um, and it's probably no different than my you know than the people who came before me that looked at us, our OGs that looked at us and was like, didn't see themselves in us. Like I can't see myself in these kids today. Like they're, and it's because, I mean, a large part is because of how they've been socialized. In class today we talked about a term that my professor that Santana that I believe he coined it, called digital native, and essentially what it is a person who's fluent in the use of digital technology, and they have never known a world without the use of that technology. Like my daughter's 24, she'd be a digital native. She's never known a world without the internet, without MySpace, Facebook, Instagram. Like this is all of this is normal to her. Like so, me being 46 and looking at all of this stuff and coming from an era where we had 45 albums, my dad still had reel to reel and 8 tracks and 45 players and, amps in his room, and like, and, I walked around with beepers, where cell phones, like, where, you had to be rich to have a cell phone back there because they charged you an arm and a leg to see, the technology now that's so fluid, and the entitlement that a lot of these kids have and they live with it's just foreign to me. And I mean, my brothers now, we were, my father provided for us, simultaneously, we went out and did our own thing, and, we went and got it ourselves. So, and so it's a little bit different.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I had my brother, that was right there, with me at the time, and I came home from camp, and he had a vehicle, at 17, and he bought his own vehicle at 17, and a month out of camp, I bought my first car, and so like, our culture was a little bit different than this new generation, Gen Z or millennial, and it's just different, and it's kind of interesting to see. I want to see where these kids are like 10 to 15 years from now.
They're gonna be on their phones. Where else? Living their life on the phone.
You know what? I thought about that, right? And I really believe, like, 20 years from now, these kids are gonna look back and say, we were fucking weirdos. I really believe that. I really believe that they are. Like, nothing stays the same. And eventually, all of this social media stuff and all of this, it's going to be out of vogue. And it's not going to be cool anymore. And people are still going to be using it. I mean, the technology is here and it ain't going nowhere. But, like, people posting pictures of what they eat and, talking about they're falling out with their girlfriend online, and, like, they're going to realize how lame this shit really is.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I want to touch on something that you mentioned a few moments ago, or a few minutes ago, or when we originally initiated the call. You were talking about Magic Mountain, and that there was a big riot. I didn't hear
Right.
about that big riot until years later, or maybe recently, and but I do remember the aftermath of that riot, even though I didn't know what ended up causing it, or what up to or what it led up to Magic Mountain changing their policies. But I do remember going there like
Right.
in the mid '90s, and they would always single us out. We would get there, and then the security guards would pull you over to the like it was to the right, and they had like this little area where they would search you, look at your tattoos, and if you had tattoos, they were not gonna let you in. They would turn you away and be like, nope, you're not coming in. And it was majority that the majority of people that were doing it to us was browns and blacks. And then at
Oh
some
yeah.
point somebody ended up suing them, and then they just pretty much set up metal detectors uh, at the entrance, and then they pretty much had to treat everybody the same. They couldn't target one specific group, or they couldn't target somebody based on their looks.
Well, they had a policy back then where if you had on gang attire, they wouldn't let you in. So we were wise to that. And so what we did, it was wow. It was, I mean, it was probably 15 of us. We rode up there, probably like 3 cars deep, and so all of us, we had our like our Tommy Hilfiger shirts on, and our Dockers, our little schoolboy outfits, college, preppy stuff. But underneath, we had our gang attire under. And so what we did was we wore that over it, and then when we got in the park, we had our bags or whatever, and we went to change in the lockers, and we took off all of our, our clothes that we had over, and we put that in the locker with our bags, and we came out, flags, gang attire, like belt, just the whole nine. And and once we were in, like we were just and so yeah, so it was at the end, it was probably like
You have 60 seconds remaining.
9 o'clock. Well, no, probably like no, probably like 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and we were at the ride flashback, and there's a gift shop right there, and they had after hours in, and TLC. I know that TLC was performing that night. I can't remember if it was Usher in TLC or someone else, but for sure it was TLC that was supposed to perform in after hours, and they had sold too many tickets, and they stopped letting people in, but they didn't want to refund all of the tickets that they sold, and so the riot started at the gift store at Flashback. The windows were broken out. Everybody ran in, got all kind of apparel and helmets and all kind of stuff, and it just spread throughout the whole park.
Man, that sounds wild. That sounds like the riots.
Yeah.
All right, so our 15 minutes are up. He should be giving us a call back shortly. And after this call, this will probably be our last call for the night. Normally, I like to keep these for like to run them for about an hour or so, depending on how late it is right now. And right now it's already 11 already. So yeah, it's getting up there. So we'll run one more, and then um, probably be back either tomorrow or the following day.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Hello, Silas.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, she got us.
yeah, yeah. It was definitely insane. Let's just put it like this: like when we walked down the hill down to where I guess Wendy's. Yeah, that's Wendy's down there. Wendy's. There's a hotel on the other side. I think there's a gas station right there where the freeway is right there. like we were walking down, and I had like an arm full of Bugs Bunny T-shirts and like the big crazy suckers, like in one hand, and like I'm hawking stuff as we walking down the hill. Like, every like people had like ridiculous stuffed animals bigger than they could their person, bigger than their body, walking down the hill, and it was there were like 6 or 7 helicopters flying over the park, and like when we were walking out of the gates, this teenage white girl, this white chick, she had a Dallas Cowboys jacket on, and I remember this because I'm a diehard Eagles fan. I hate the Cowboys, and so it was like cocaine white, and it had a big blue star on the back. It was one of the starter jackets. Remember the starter jackets from back in the day?
Yeah.
So
Was it the ones that go
three
to like
girls.
your knees?
No, not that one. Not
Oh,
that.
okay.
I remember those. Like
Okay.
those were like the Raider joint stuff. This was like the one just the waist where it had the like kind of elastic at the
Yeah.
bottom,
Okay.
and so and a zipper on the side. So the 3 girls walk up to her, and they were Crips because they had on blue flags and whatnot, and they whooped this chick out of this jacket. I mean, they asked her to give it to him, and she was like playing like, well, wait, and they whooped her out of the jacket. Like it was unreal. Like when they got the jacket, it was blood all over the jacket. Like it was ridiculous. Like it just the whole park was going insane. Like it it was unreal. Like I've never experienced anything like that besides the LA riots.
And
Yeah,
do
so
you remember? Because
that was
I wasn't aware of
insane.
this when it happened. Um, do you remember what the news reports were like after? Did you catch any of that after it happened?
I believe that the media was framing it. I know that if memory serves, it wasn't the day. It wasn't. It had some kind of. It was the timeline was somewhere around the officers in that had to do with the Rodney King assault. I know that it was something. There was some kind of timeline that the media had tried to correlate it with, but it had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it sounds like something the
But I
media
mean, the
would do.
coverage was huge.
Yeah.
The coverage was huge, though.
Wow, man. That's bonkers.
And
Anyhow,
that was just one day in the '90s.
yeah, the '90s were definitely they were definitely wild. I'm glad I made it. Made it through. Like I said, I mean, I never gangbang, but that wouldn't stop you from becoming a victim or ending up 6 feet deep. People would get you be collateral damage. You weren't involved, but you were at the wrong place at the wrong time, or you had a certain look, and people were hunting for a problem, and you just happened to be that problem, and you wouldn't be too
Yeah,
doing too good. Because I did know a few people that did get caught up, and they weren't involved in anything like that, and it just these things were very common.
yeah. A friend of mine, actually my daughter's namesake, Nikki Foley, she was murdered. I mean, and she was just walking home. Cars pulled up, and they shot shot 5 of my friends, and she got killed. And one of my friends, Mona, she was 6 months pregnant at the time. She lost her kid. And I mean, and they weren't gang members. They were just walking home with one of my friends. So like it was like you said, like that was a time where it really didn't matter if you were affiliated. I mean, you can be walking down the street and look at somebody wrong. Like it was that the '90s. you could get it in the 90s.
Man, right now that you mentioned that, I remember this one time I was driving down Alvarado with my mom and my aunt, and I was in the back of the in the back of the car, and it was a trip. We
This
were heading
call
south.
and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
We were heading south on Alvarado, like right before sunset, and I seen this dude. He was walking down the street, and then I saw this other dude like duck behind like a wall, and the other dude didn't see him. And as soon as that dude popped around that corner, he let him have it. And I was like, and I was young. I was young. Maybe I was maybe like 9, 8 or 9. I was really young, and I was just tripping out. I was like, man, that dude, he never saw it coming. He's over there, going on about his business, and this other dude jumps off, and he lets him have it. So yeah, the 90s were definitely wild. Luckily, that dude, he just got it with some fists, but there was other people that were getting it with knives and guns. So um, I
Yeah.
remember
I mean,
just hearing like that happen all the time.
yeah, I remember my brother and I, were catching the bus to school, and I don't even think we were going to school. I think we most likely we were ditching. We were always ditching together, and so we were with one of our friends. He's since passed away, and so we're all at the bus stop, and there's some kid with us. I don't know if he was with us or he was just there, but he was tagging on the bus stop, and so the transit cops pull up and they get out, and the cops end up there somehow, and so they have us down on the ground, and they're roughhousing us, and there's an apartment building across the street. And there's some stairs that lead up to it, and the stairs are like elevated above, above the street. And so somebody comes out of the courtyard right there and shoots while the police have us gaffled up. the cops, the cops get behind their cars and turn around and leave.
Man, yeah,
I mean,
I've actually experienced that with the cops before, but it wasn't a shooting. I got my head cracked open once at a club, and the cops were right outside the club when I'm walking out all bloody, and the cops, they look at me, they look at each other, and they just leave. And I was like, what? I was like, what? I guess they weren't there to help. They were there to pick up on chicks, because they would do that a lot. They would you would see them constantly. When we walk out from certain clubs, and the cops would be there, just waiting to pick up chicks.
yeah, they weren't there to protect that night. They were there to serve.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah. So right now
yeah.
with school right now, what do you have going on with school?
Right now, I have in the second half of the semester, I finished the first half. We had interpersonal communications and art design for the first 8 weeks, and the second 8 weeks we have journalism, media studies, and communications 300. So yeah,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
the classes are pretty interesting, and I was actually telling my daughter that the difference between the junior college that I graduated from in San Diego State is that it's it's a more immersive experience. I mean, you actually, we we obviously we do the textbook work and everything, and we write, we do homework and we do reports and whatever, but like we have spirited debates, we have an exchange of ideas, and that makes me excited to go to class every day, to know that we're not just it's just not a professor just lecturing and giving us just textbook information and telling us to memorize it. You know, we're actually being challenged, you know, to challenge the ideas that we're being presented with. And I think that's beautiful, man. I mean, the one thing that you don't do as a gang member is do critical thinking. I mean, gangland culture is based on groupthink. It's like almost a militaristic mentality. You take orders. You do what you're told. You know, or in some cases it's just a pack mentality. Depending on which which political spectrum you land on, whether you're black or brown or whatnot. But I mean, as a I consider myself a scientist, man, and as a critical thinker, like it's beautiful to be in the room and to be able to have an exchange of ideas with people and to gain new perspectives. I mean, there are things that are being that we talk about that I have my own views, but to hear someone else and to to contemplate their viewpoint and think, well, wow, I never thought about it like that. It's really, really cool, man, and I'm really, really fortunate and blessed to have this opportunity. I mean, my professor just illuminated the other day. I mean, there are 2,600 people here at this institution, and I mean, there on this yard there are 14 of us, with myself being one of them. In B yard, there are 20 people. So out of 2,600 people, there are 34 people that have the opportunity that I have. And I mean, I'm super excited and taking full advantage of it.
Sounds like, yeah, you're fortunate. And what's the percentage, like point one, point two of the whole population that are actually able to take advantage of these programs?
Right. I mean, there are actually kids out there, who are being denied admittance to San Diego State. I'm like, I'm in Aztec. I'm in San Diego State. That's a big deal. Like there are kids out there who have 4.0s, who are applying for school and not being able to get into school, and you know, myself as well as my cohort, we have the opportunity to receive an education from an esteemed university and build social currency and potentially generational wealth. I mean, individuals. I mean, it's no secret that people with college degrees earn more than people who don't. So I mean, it's an amazing opportunity, and man, I'm really enjoying the ride so far.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, I wish I could go to college and take advantage of something like that. I mean, I could, but it's gonna it's kind of difficult. When you're working and then you gotta, I'm just making excuses. I could do it. It's possible. It is possible.
No, but I mean, no, I mean it is possible, but I mean you make a good point. Although
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I'm in prison, which is a horrible thing, but I have the time. I have the time to study. I'm writing a horror novel. I have the time to just focus on school, my book, my relationship, and that's it. I don't have to focus on any, obviously just continue doing the positive things, the programming in here with self help and whatnot. But that's easy, So I mean, it's going to be a different story, coming home and having to work, having to manage, that time, and then spend time with my fiance and do, who will be my wife by then, and so I know I know you have a child, and that's no easy feat to manage, man, to juggle all of that.
It's not, man. She's 5 years old and she has a lot of energy. She's like nonstop. She doesn't take any naps. She goes to sleep like at 11, and she'll wake up like at she goes to preschool, so she goes for half of the day, and we normally get her up like at about 10. So she wakes up. She's up from 10 a.m. to to 11. She's still up right now. I could hear her in the room with my wife. So she does have a lot of energy. So
This call is now being
This is
recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
so Silas, I don't want to go ahead. I don't want I don't want to ignore your family in the chat here. But I hate cutting you off, when you're in the middle of speaking. So normally I like to take the opportunity whenever the calls are cut off to go ahead and read off the comments. So I'm gonna go ahead and read off the last comment that was put here, which was written by D Smith, and they put I'm in here, cuzzo, and then D also puts shout out to my cousin Silas, and then Derek Lamar put a true story. So I'm thinking he was agreeing with Magic Bounce's story.
Oh, absolutely. And the when we were gaffled up and the cops got shot at. Eh, all of my best stories, he's right there with me.
Man, so you guys used to hang out. You guys used to hang out really tough then, back when you guys were kids then.
Yeah, that's my every day right there, every day since jump. What up, D Nuck? What up, Nuck? Yeah, man, that's my cousin Damien right there. What up, cousin?
Hopefully
I
he's,
see
he's
you,
still in
man.
here because he wrote this a few minutes in, well, not a few minutes ago, but a little while ago. So hopefully he's still in here and he was able to hear the
Okay.
shout out and your shout out also. So you know, um,
Yeah,
you know,
man.
definitely don't want to forget about the family members that do come in and show support. Definitely helping out
Exactly.
the channel and spreading the message.
Exactly. Yeah, that's that's my crew now. My fiance, my brother, my cousin. That's my family is my crew now. That's all the crew I need.
That's right. Yeah. So when you eventually parole,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
if I recall, you said you're gonna be living out in San Diego, right?
No, no,
No.
no. Well, I plan to go back to I plan to go back to the San Fernando Valley. I'm gonna enroll in Cal State University Northridge, and eventually migrate out to Tucson with my fiance. So that's that's the plan. I know things change, so we might. Her as much as she don't like it, her and I might end up someplace different, but we'll see. We got time to contemplate all of that.
Yeah, but
I may have just got myself in trouble.
it's gonna be it's gonna be coming a lot sooner than later. It's it's right around the corner.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of tricky to think about it. Like when I was in June before I got postponed for board, like earlier in the year, I had I had a lot of anxiety about the prospect of a grant or a denial going to board, and it's kind of crazy because I stopped worrying about you know getting denied, and the closer that I got to thinking like oh shit, like you know what if I get a grant? I spent so much time agonizing over being turned away from the door and being denied parole. I started thinking like, well, what if I get what I want? Have I done enough? Have I done enough to secure myself in my future? And make my transition back to home, as seamless as possible. And so yeah, so that's what I've been doing the last 6 months, and that's what I'll continue to do, until I get a grant and ultimately walk out of here. It's just to rehearse, just prepare, for all of the it's all of everything that's gonna come at me when I come home. I know that things are moving real fast, and for the most part, I've been insulated, from a lot of the everyday stresses, worries, and struggles out there. And I know that I'm gonna have to just take a deep breath and not try to do too much too fast, and just enjoy the process and just do the work, and things will come.
And then I just saw a message from Lisa. She put Montana, LOL, laughing out loud.
Yeah, we got a dream of getting off the grid together somewhere up there, and somewhere up there, Montana, Idaho, somewhere. So you know, it that's definitely, once I get off parole, we definitely gonna start exploring like some options of just getting somewhere, and just being away from all of the craziness. So that's uh that's definitely on the table, Lise. What's up, baby?
And that's right. I was showing support. She's been showing up to to the streams, since the first stream. So definitely, shout out to Lisa
Yeah,
for being a huge supporter of you and of the channel. Really appreciate it.
absolutely. Love you, mama.
And I know it's getting a little bit on the late side, and my wife just took our daughter to the room. I'm gonna call it a night right now, and then we'll go ahead and continue. Maybe like in the next 1 or 2 days, whenever you're available, and we'll go ahead and
All right.
um, have another conversation. And um, I know you have a lot of a lot of great ideas on topics that you wanna talk about, and not necessarily that topics that have to do with prison, which I'll be happy to uh, 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 accommodate. Because I mean, like I always say, yeah, you might be in prison, but there's different things going on besides prison, shenanigans going on in prison. Whether it's family members or school or working or running programs. So those are the kind of things that I wanna shed light on. To bring it to people's attention that you guys, some of you are actually doing something positive with your lives.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we appreciate that, and we appreciate the opportunity for this is a window into the world for us, and we definitely appreciate the opportunity to showcase not only our growth and our evolution, but the fact that others out there, to hopefully inspire somebody that that you can be more than who you are, than what you are. You can be who you are meant to be. So yeah, we definitely appreciate that, and I look forward to that in the future. And to everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Obviously, all the family. I love all of y'all. Um, yeah. So we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate it. And you guys go ahead and have a good night. And ultimately, I mean, this wouldn't be possible with anybody without you guys actually taking the time out of your day to share your stories and yeah, pretty much everything you've been through in your life, and with me, actually, setting this up. So, we're doing it together. It's just not me. There wouldn't be any of these stories without you guys sharing them, and then these stories wouldn't be happening or wouldn't be shared if I hadn't set up the platform. So we're a team in essence here. So I really appreciate
Absolutely.
what you guys are doing, and taking time out of your day, and opening it up pretty much about your stories, because a lot of people, some people won't do it, and you guys are doing it. So my hats off to you guys, and really appreciate it.
Right back at you, man. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. And with that, then we'll go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it now, and we'll be talking shortly.
All right.